Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. How is everyone doing? Hello Vishak over in my YouTube channel. And hello Esther and Sakshi and Mona and Nod and Ahura. Okay, so today I want to try to just get people on stage to talk to me and ask me questions. That's what I want to do today. So, raise your hand. Come on stage. You know what I can do? I wonder if I can do this. Wait a minute. Interesting. Okay, this might work. This might work. A little bit difficult though. Can you set the levels? Please give me one moment. I think I have something fun for us to do. Let's try this. Oh, beautiful. Let's try light depth. Generate. Ah, that's beautiful. I love it. Okay, I found a new fun tool. Check this out. Okay, look at this. Wow, conversation topic generator. Generate random conversation topics to break the ice and keep discussions flowing. What kind of categories do we have? Science, technology, philosophy, psychology, history, politics, education, relationships, food and travel, art and culture, entertainment, sports, business, nature, health, weird, and fun. And you can set the level of how deep are the questions. Are they light, not deep, easy questions, medium depth of question, or very deep questions? And how many questions do you want it to generate? 1, 3, 5, or 10? So let's try, let's just try 3. Okay, here are 3 questions. What's the most unusual or surprising food combination you secretly enjoy? Or, if you could instantly become fluent in any one language, which would you choose and why? And look, they have sub-questions under each one. What's one small everyday invention you couldn't live without that often goes unnoticed? Okay? So that's a technology question, and this is a weird and fun question, and this is a weird and fun question. Right? So that's pretty cool, right? Let's try medium depth. All right, psychology. Is the pursuit of extreme sports a healthy expression of human spirit or an unhealthy addiction to risk? Ooh, that's an interesting question. And it's medium depth. Should access to cultural heritage sites be restricted to preserve them or democratized for global access? Right? Should we limit some people from visiting tourist sites because maybe they're visiting so much that they're destroying them? Are personalized algorithms in streaming services enhancing our entertainment or creating echo chambers? Right? Now, these are pretty difficult. These are not basic questions, but look down here. Conversation topics for teens. Right? And look at this, ESL. Wow, 45 ESL conversation topics for English learners. Okay, beginner topics, A1 to A2. Let me make it bigger. Tell me about your family. How many people are in your family and what do they do? What is your favorite food? Can you describe how it tastes? Do you know how to cook it? Describe your daily routine, right? Look how great these are. And his intermediate. What are the advantages and disadvantages of living in a big city versus a small town? These are great for like IELTS and TOEFL questions. How has technology changed the way people communicate? Is this change positive or negative? I will give you the link. Just give me a moment. Right? So, and here's even the advanced topics, C1, C2. How does the language you speak shape the way you think and see the world? Wow, that's deep. Right? What role should governments play in regulating personal lifestyle choices like diet and exercise? This is all free. I didn't pay for anything. I just found this. So this is the ESL one right here. But this is the main page, and it looks like maybe they have an app too. How fun. I think they have an app. See, 100% free, no sign up. 500 plus curated topics. There's a debate generator with both sides, topics with both sides. There's a question of the day. There's moral dilemmas. A dilemma means a difficult problem to solve, right? This is a pretty amazing page, I think. Is authentic food a myth? Is AI-generated art really art? What would the world look like if Rome never fell? Right? So lots of great things here. Randomtopics.app. Randomtopics.app it's called. So who wants to play? Anyone want to play? Should we do the ESL one, or should we do the main topics? Yes, I am a YouTuber. And hello, Johnny, over in my YouTube. There's my YouTube. Nobody wants to play? See what happens when I ask people to come to the stage? You're all too chicken. Baka! I look like Boss Baby? Yeah, I do, don't I? How can you play? You have to raise your hand and then you can come on stage. And then you can choose a topic or choose a level or choose a question. Okay, so what we are doing right now is if you want to come on stage, you can come on stage and play this game where I will give you a question and you will answer it. Okay? Okay, Mr. X, that's great. I'm glad you're a thumbnail designer. Welcome to my class. But right now, I am teaching my class. So you have to join what we are doing right now, okay? I'm not interested in talking about how to improve my YouTube channel right now, okay? I'm busy. This is my time when I am busy teaching my audience, okay? So, if you want to come on stage and play the game, then raise your hand and you can come on stage and play the game. Okay? But I'm not interested in solicitation right now. Solicitation means if you have some service or product that you're trying to sell, this is not the place for that. This is a classroom. I am a teacher. I am teaching right now. You guys wanted me to have more topics and more subjects, so here we are. It's okay, Mr. X, but just please understand that you are new and I'm not new. I have been on this app for more than 12 years, and I have been live streaming here for more than 5 years. So this is your day one. This is my day, you know, whatever 5 years is. Arjun wants to come and play the game. Arjun, are you there? Oh, no, Arjun is too scared. Okay, so do you want to play the game? Let's go back and look at some more topics in the regular area. Topic collections. Ooh, wow, look at that. 75 best debate topics for students in 2026. 60 deep conversation starters for couples. 40 creative writing prompts for kids. That's great too. Wow, this page is amazing. Yeah, we're living in a different world now, aren't we? See, this is the reason why it really does mean. Susu, remember how I was talking about how the new website is not about the website, it's about me? This is why. Because I bet money that this page is probably created by mostly AI. And so that means that it is pretty easy to make incredible pages very quickly and very easily now. So that means that this is where the rule of Rod Serling pays off. Rod Serling said that being just like everyone else is just the same as being no one, right? Or he said something like that. Being just like everybody else is the same as being nobody. And so, if you're the same as everybody else, then you're nobody. Now, what that means is that something must make you different. Something must make you special. And in this day, everybody's looking at AI and saying, does AI replace something? Well, what if it doesn't need to replace it? What if it's together? Right? So yeah, you have the benefit of the AI, but you also have the AI is using what for its knowledge base? Me. So that's where of course it's about me, that the website, because that's where the knowledge comes from, right? But it's about supporting a person. You know, you're more likely to support a person than you are to support just a site. Especially now. Especially now, because sites can be created so quickly and easily now. I think that there's a lot less reason, or a lot more people who will see it like, oh, well, I don't need to pay for that. That wasn't that hard to do. Oh, 10 years ago, a website was definitely hard to do. You had to make it, and it required a lot of effort. It's not that way anymore. So a lot of people will think it's not worth paying for unless it really has some significant value. And that's true. That's definitely true. Unless it's connected to a person or personality. So, once again, we still have no one raising their hands. Let's try this. Would you rather? Do you guys know would you rather questions? These are always fun. Would you rather be able to fly but only at walking speed, or run at 200 miles per hour but never leave the ground? Would you rather be able to fly but only at walking speed, or run at 200 miles per hour but never leave the ground? Or would you rather have unlimited money but no friends, or no money but the best friends in the world? Would you rather live without music or live without television and movies? There's a hard one. Would you rather be famous but constantly watched, or anonymous but completely free? Would you rather be able to speak every language fluently or play every musical instrument perfectly? That's why these are great questions, because they make you have to think. And they make you have to think about how to express your words and express your ideas about these things. These are great practice for both your English speaking and for your English thinking. Mia says, I want both. Okay, so then if you want both, then make that argument. You can say that, Mia, but I want you to express it completely. So you can say, I don't want to have to choose between speaking every language fluently or playing every musical instrument perfectly. I want to be able to play every musical instrument perfectly and speak every language fluently because blah, 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 blah. Right? That's the point. Okay? Always remember that if you're practicing language, the point is to practice language. So make a good answer. Right? Sometimes when you guys practice, your answers are quick and short because you think that it's about being quick and short. No, the purpose of this is to practice language. So then the purpose is to have the best answer, not the shortest answer, the quickest answer, the best answer. All right? Would you rather live in a treehouse in the forest or a houseboat on the ocean? On the ocean, that's kind of weird. That's right, we have to respond as talkatively as we can. I wouldn't necessarily say as talkatively as we can. You know, it's not about playing as many notes as you can. It's about making sure that you say your answer completely, right? Not with just one word, right? So if I say, do you like ice cream? And you say yes, then you didn't practice any language. But if I say, do you like ice cream? And you say, yes, I like ice cream because ice cream is really yummy. That's good. Now, if you say, yes, I like ice cream because ice cream is really yummy and because ice cream was invented in 1754 by Mr. John Ice Cream. That's too much, right? Now you're going on too far. That's too much. So what I would say is give a complete answer, but don't just keep talking, right? Would you rather always be 10 minutes late or always be 20 minutes early? That's kind of a stupid one. Would you rather have the ability to read minds but not be able to turn it off, or be invisible but only when no one is looking? Well, that's interesting. To be invisible when no one's looking, what good is that? I'm always invisible when no one's looking. I am invisible all the time when no one's looking. That's funny. Would you rather have free Wi-Fi everywhere you go or free coffee for life? Would you rather be able to teleport, but only to places you have already been, or time travel, but only forward? Ooh, that's tricky, because if you can only time travel forward, then that means once you go forward once, you can't go back. You have to continue to go forward. That's very tricky. So if you time travel into tomorrow, then you can only time travel again into the next day or further day. You cannot go backward. That's kind of weird. These are great. These are great. Silly and absurd questions. Would you rather have spaghetti for hair or sweat made of maple syrup? That's funny. Would you rather have spaghetti for hair or sweat of maple syrup? Would you rather have a permanent clown nose or permanent clown shoes? Would you rather have would you rather every shirt you own be slightly too small or every pair of pants slightly too long? Would you rather sound like a duck every time you laugh or snort like a pig every time you sneeze? All right, but again, you have to give your answer why. Why? Why would you rather sneeze like or sound like a duck every time you laugh? Quack 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 quack. Would you rather have to skip everywhere instead of walk or sing everything instead of speak? So you must sing everything that you say. You cannot just speak, every word must be sung. Skip, definitely, she says. Would you rather have hands for feet or feet for hands? Okay, did somebody raise their hand? I don't know. Nope, nobody is. Snorting like a pig is so embarrassing and even disgusting. See, that's a cultural thing, Ahura. Not everybody cares, right? Like, I don't care. I think pig snorting sounds funny. I think that might be kind of funny. And you know, the funny thing is that some people, when they laugh, some people laugh and they snort like a pig when they laugh, right? So they're laughing and in between laughing, they snort. Right? Would you rather everything you touch turn to cheese or everything you sit on turn to jelly? Would you rather have a head the size of a tennis ball or the size of a watermelon? Okay, so these are ridiculous, right? How about these? These are deep questions. Would you rather know how you die or know when you die? Would you rather would you rather relive the same day forever or fast forward through the rest of your life? Would you rather always know the truth even when it hurts or live in blissful ignorance? Right? So these are deep questions. Here's lifestyle questions. Would you rather live in a world where it's always summer or always winter? Would you rather only eat sweet food or only eat savory food for the rest of your life? Do you guys know what savory means? Savory. Yeah, savory means usually it's more like salty things, right? So things like, meats and salty things and, yeah. If I type in savory things, let's see. So look, these are savory things. picture's not very good, but yeah, look, they've got pizza and bread and lasagna and salad and a burger and whatever. These are savory things, right? So savory is the opposite of sweet, kind of. Right? Would you rather live in the city with a tiny apartment or in the countryside with a huge house? That is kind of like the choice of living in America or, lots of places where many times you can afford a very big house if you go way out in the country. But if you want to live close to everything that's important, then you probably have to live in a very small apartment. Would you rather have a personal chef or a personal trainer for the rest of your life? I say personal trainer because I'm already a great cook. I can cook for myself. And then I can eat whatever I want and then make the trainer make me work it off. Would you rather be an amazing cook or an amazing dancer? Would you rather never use social media again or never watch streaming services again? Right? What else do we have here? Superpowers and sci-fi questions. Would you rather have super strength or super speed? Would you rather be able to breathe underwater or survive in outer space without a suit? Would you rather control fire or control water? Would you rather have X-ray vision or telescopic vision? Right? If you don't know what these are, you can ask me and I'll tell you. Telescopic means like a telescope. Tele means far, far distance, and scope means to see, to look. Right? So look, come on. You guys ask me all the time about how can I practice my English? How can I practice my thinking? This page is great. You can go to this page and keep busy forever, right? With lots of interesting, fun questions. And you don't have to practice speaking them, but you could, right? You can just practice thinking them, right? Would you rather date someone who is extremely funny but not very attractive, or extremely attractive but not very funny? Yeah, so it's called randomtopics.app. Randomtopics.app. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how anybody spends any time with anybody who's not very funny for very long. Like, I don't expect everybody to be a comedian, but you have to be able to laugh. And if you can't laugh, then I don't know how I could spend much time with you. You know? See now, Waleed? That's why you're lonely, Waleed. Right there. Your answer is why you're lonely. Because extremely attractive doesn't last forever, man. Would you rather have one best friend you can trust completely or 10 good friends? Would you rather always say exactly what you were thinking or never speak again? Here's, oh no, I guess that's about it there. How about icebreakers? Let's go to icebreakers. All right, let's see. Okay, so we'll do light, and we'll do 10, and let's just choose 10 random questions. Okay, here we go. What's the most unusual item you've ever found in a thrift store? Do you guys know what a thrift store is? Sometimes we call them a second-hand store or a vintage store. It's a thrift store. Thrift, to be thrifty means to be frugal. That means that you don't spend money like too easily. You're very careful with your money. You're very careful with your money. Then you're thrifty, right? So to have thrift means that you're good with your money, you're careful with your money. So when you go to the thrift store, you know that this is a place where you can buy something that's used, secondhand, so it will be much cheaper. And maybe it's just as good as the new one, right? Yeah, second-hand stores. That's what we call them, second-hand stores. Or a thrift store. Okay, so those are very popular in America, especially now because everything in America is so expensive. It's crazy because even the thrift stores are expensive now. It's crazy. You go to the thrift store and sometimes the things at the thrift store are expensive. It's like, wait a minute. Do we now have to have thrift stores? You know, like, because the thrift stores are too expensive, so now we have to have something that's like another level? Flea markets. So a flea market is much bigger. Okay, flea markets are still around, not really popular. They used to be very popular, flea markets. And what is a flea market? A flea market is like a very big group of stores that come together to sell things, usually just for a day or two or a weekend, right? So for example, I used to love going to this one flea market. Let me see if I can find it so I can show you. Trader's World, I think it was called. Yeah. Okay, so take a look at this. Let me see if I can find some pictures for you. Okay, so this is Trader's World Flea Market. It's a really fun place where you'll go on the weekend and you walk around and they have all these little shops and little stores that you can go, and they sell all kinds of things, every kind of thing that you can imagine. It's just, look, like there's Lego stuff and there's toys and there's food and, you know, there's T-shirts, right? And posters to hang on your wall. Right? All kinds of things that you can buy. Look, see? It's like an indoor little tiny mall. Okay? But they're usually not every day, right? They're only on the weekends and only for certain hours, right? They're very interesting. You can go see a lot of things at the flea market. Okay? All right, let me see. Did I miss anything? Doesn't seem like anybody really wants to play, so. What's the difference between frugal and stingy or cheap? Frugal is usually a positive word only. It means you're good with your money, but like in a positive way, right? Stingy is the opposite. It's like you're too worried about your money, so you never pay for anything, you never pay the extra, you never give a good tip, you never leave a tip, right? Now, cheap can mean the same thing. Sometimes we say he is cheap, and that means he never wants to get the good thing. He always wants to buy the cheapest thing. He never wants to spend money, and it's a bad thing. Like he's He never sees a good reason to spend money, ever. That's being cheap. Stingy is when you kind of do it in a way that people notice, right? Where, like, let's say all of your friends always go out to eat, right? And sometimes this person pays and sometimes that person pays, and you guys just share the bill, right? Like, certain people will pay, right? But this one person never volunteers to pay, you know, or maybe when it's their turn to pay, they take you to McDonald's or some very, very cheap place. So everybody else went to a nice restaurant, but you, when it was your turn to pay for everybody, you decided to take them to the cheap restaurant. Not because you don't have any money. You have the money, but you just don't want to spend it on anyone. So you say, okay, I'll pay for dinner here at this cheap, cheap, cheap place. That's being stingy, okay? Or cheap. But the word cheap also can be talking about a thing, and we can say, oh, that's very cheap. And it can mean very low price or very low quality. Okay, what's, let me see. Did they become expensive recently, or did they used to be? Ahura, I mean, America has always been more expensive than most of the rest of the world, mostly. But in the last 10 years, it has gotten crazy now here. For example, like McDonald's. McDonald's just posted recently that their sales are down by like 3% or something. And that's crazy because their sales don't usually go down. Their sales usually continue to go up. Why are their sales going down? Because nobody has money to go out and spend anything. But if they do have money to go spend, if I have two restaurants, McDonald's is here, and right next door there's a restaurant called, let's say, Chili's. Okay? Now, Chili's is a sit-down restaurant. It's not fast food. Now, it's not a really nice restaurant. It's just a mid-level restaurant. Right? It's a mid-level restaurant. But I can go to that restaurant, and for $15, I can have a really good burger with a lot of fries and a drink, and I can sit down in a nice place and enjoy it, right? Or I can go to McDonald's, and for $13, they're going to give me a McDonald's burger and McDonald's fries and a Coke with more ice than Coke. So now people have realized that, wait a minute, this is ridiculous. That's McDonald's. That's the lowest kind of food. You cannot charge expensive prices for a cheap product. That's the problem, is that the price of things always goes up, right? The price of things never goes down, right? But there are some things where the value of that thing, there is no more value. You can't add more value to it. So the value stops here, but the price continues to go up. So that's where we are now. The price of McDonald's is here, but the value of McDonald's is down here. and they're saying, wait a minute, why aren't you buying McDonald's anymore? We don't understand. Why don't you like our food anymore? Well, it was cheap. It's not anymore. And I'm not going to pay $15 for a crappy burger. So, you know, the thing is that the price of things has always changed dramatically sometimes. But it usually happens in a timeline where the people adjust to it, so it doesn't feel shocking. But this happened over the period of less than 10 years, and now it feels shocking. So, yeah. If you're in America and you think that it's not expensive, then you're a lunatic. What about Facebook Marketplace? What about Facebook Marketplace? What do you want me to know, or what do you want to know about Facebook Marketplace? Did you have a question about them? Costco. So those stores, Costco, Sam's Club, and what's the other one? Oh, I can't remember the name of the other one, but those are called big box stores because when you go there, you don't buy one roll of toilet paper. You buy a case of toilet paper that's like 200 rolls, right? So you're going home with a year's worth of toilet paper or whatever you're buying, right? So that's why they call them big box stores, because everything is sold in a large quantity in a big box, okay? Walmart is not considered a big box store, but it is the largest conglomerate. It's the largest corporate store that is it's a mega store. A mega store means that they're like a grocery store. They have everything that a grocery store has, but they also have everything that a department store has, right? So you can buy your clothes there, and you can buy your things for your car there, and you can buy your things for all these things, right? Everything you need is in one place. That's a mega store. Okay, but the quantities are normal quantities. That's the difference between that and a big box store. Okay? What about living on a budget? What do you mean, Susu? What are you asking about? What's the difference between a side business and a side hustle? Nothing really. That's semantic, which means that depends on the way a person feels about those words, right? So that means that some people might think that a side hustle is only a small thing you do on the side, like maybe you bet on sports sometimes, right? You bet on sports every week a little bit. That's a side hustle, right? To make a little bit of extra money, and you're good at it or something, so you do that. Or maybe you, on the weekends, you go to the market, to the farmer's market, and you sell honey that you make. You have honey in your yard, you have bees, so you make honey and you sell the honey at the store. That's a side hustle. Now, if you turn it into an official business, if you have a store and you have a website and you have everything is official, then that's a side business. But if you just make some honey sometimes and sell it for extra money, that's a side hustle. So a hustle is less formal and less official. A side business is very formal, very official. Okay? Okay. Waleed says, Americans are funny. I mean, come on, man. Welcome to our world when it comes to about expensive. Yeah, that's true, Waleed. You're right. But you can't really compare a war zone to a place that is not a war zone, right? You can't really compare that. Of course, your situation is worse, Waleed. It's hard. Waleed, I won't say it's hard. I will say it's challenging to be an American when you do know people in places all over the world where they're having a much harder time than you are, right? So I know that in most of the world, most of the people that are around, they're having a harder time than I am, okay? I recognize that, but I'm still human and I still feel like I have problems, right? And that my problems are real, because my problems are real. So that's why context is always so important, right? Microscopically, you have to look at your problems and take them seriously. But macroscopically, that means from far, far away, you have to look at your problems and remember that your problems are probably not as bad as some other people. So it's a balance. You have to try to keep some balance on seeing everything as being, oh, the end of the world is here because my life is over because my problems are the biggest problems. That's the microscopic. And you have to balance that with the other side, which is what I call the blue dot philosophy, which is where you think about being on the moon, looking down at the world. And when you're on the moon and you look down at the world, you remember how many billions of people there are and how your problems are so small compared to all the big problems happening in the world. Right? So you have to balance those things. However, that's still, I still think it's expensive, And 99-cent stores are actually not cheap at all. 99-cent stores are kind of a trick. What 99-cent stores do, the dollar stores, they buy everything in bulk, right? They buy anything that the stores couldn't sell, right? Other stores, the big stores, they tried to sell this stuff, but they couldn't sell it. So then the dollar store will buy that from them, and they'll try to sell it. But they try to sell it again, and maybe what they'll do is they'll take 4 bars of soap that was in one package, right? And that package was $4. Let's just say it was $4 for 4 bars of soap, right? If you bought that at the grocery store, that's how much it would cost. Okay? Or no, let's say it's $2. $2 for 4 bars of soap. Yeah, at the grocery store. Right? But now the dollar store is going to take those 4 bars of soap and they're going to break them up into separate bars and sell them individually, and they'll sell each bar for $1. So it's $1. Ah, look, it's cheap. It's only $1. But you're paying more per unit than you would if you bought it in a package, right? So the 99-cent store is basically a place where many people go thinking that they're getting a good deal, but they're actually paying more for less. Mayat says, when I go out with my friends, I treat them and I choose cheap restaurants, but the food tastes good to save money. So that's not always cheap, right? Or stingy. Mayat, I love street food. I love cheap food because sometimes cheap food is the best food. In my experience, usually the more expensive it gets, the less value it has. Right? So if you're paying $100 for a meal, it's not worth $100 probably. Okay? Especially if you know how to cook. But so, sometimes I take my friends to like this place that's not expensive, but it's the best. Like, oh, they make the best tacos. This place. There's one place I go for tacos called Taqueria San Marcos, and it's about 25 minutes away from me. And there are many places to get tacos. I can get tacos. There are probably 15 or 20 taco places within 5 minutes of where I live. Maybe 10 minutes. But I will drive 25 minutes or 30 minutes to go to this one because it's the best. And it's not the most expensive, but it is so good. Okay, and let's see. Would I rather cook the food or order the food for the costs? I love cooking, so I would rather cook. My hand is sprained. I did go to the doctor the other day and I got an x-ray and it's not broken, so that's good. But it is very sprained, so I have to keep it in a splint for about a few weeks. A week, at least a week, they said. For this wonderful news. Well, I hope McDonald's is bankrupt soon. I honestly do. At this point, McDonald's is like Aerosmith, the band. I love Aerosmith, right? And I used to love McDonald's. But Aerosmith had their time. They had their time, and they were huge, and they were big, but then you have to recognize when it's time to retire. You have to recognize when you've had your time and the stage light is not on you anymore. And you should stop trying to get on stage because you just look stupid. Right? So at the end, Aerosmith, I'm sorry, but Steven Tyler just looked stupid getting up on stage playing when he's like 85 years old or whatever he was. I don't know. I'm sorry. I love that band. I love the music, but they should have retired 20 years earlier. Right? And it just got to be sad. So, what I'm saying is, I hope they go out of business, but I doubt they will. Okay, anyway, is Facebook Marketplace popular here? Yeah, it's pretty popular. I use it. I do check it and use it. Sometimes I've sold some things on there and bought some things on there. It can be convenient and good. You know, if you can find somebody you can trust. But that's the thing. You have to make sure you talk to them enough to make sure you trust them. All right. Ahura says, however, I think the average monthly salary is enough that almost everybody is able to afford their living costs and stuff. Well, let's find out if that's true, Ahura. Let's see. So this says here, I asked ChatGPT, my student wants to know if most people in America make a monthly salary that's enough to afford the cost of living. Okay, so it says yes, but with an important qualification. A majority of Americans can generally cover their normal living expenses, but a large minority are financially strained. So it says it would be misleading to tell your student that Americans are mostly comfortable or Americans can't afford to live. I think it's closer to Americans can't afford to live, and I think if you ask most Americans today, they would say that. Most young people today think that they will never be able to buy a house in America. They'll never be able to afford a house. It says here that the Federal Reserve survey found that 73% of adults said that they were either doing okay or living comfortably, but that's self-reporting. But that means that 27% said they were finding it difficult to get by or just getting by. So, it says only 63% of Americans could cover an unexpected expense of like $400, right? So if next month you have a $400 expense, your car, you know, something happened to your car, right? Like you have to get a new tire, right? Or you have a toothache, you have to see the dentist, or you need to buy something for your kid for school, right? It's a $400 expense. A textbook, they can be $400, right? So this says that 63% of Americans would be in trouble if they had a $400 expense that they couldn't pay. Let me ask another thing. It's hard to type with this. That's the thing. It's hard to use a mouse and hard to type. Okay, 25% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That means that I have money, I get paid, and then I pay my bills, and I have no more money until the next month when I get paid again. Paycheck to paycheck, 25%. Okay? That's a lot of people. Okay? And then it says about 8.8 million people have more than one job. About 5% of Americans have more than one job. Yeah, about 5 million people have a full-time primary job and a part-time second job. Anyway, all I'm saying is that if you look online, it is not hard to find people who are saying that it's expensive here now, and this is new. It's always been kind of expensive here. And when you consider it globally, of course, but don't think about it globally. Don't compare globally. We're comparing to the way it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. And it's bad now. So, anyway, why are we talking about this? Anyway. Did I miss any other questions that are less controversial? I'm not trying to bash on my country, but I should, because it is in a sad, sad, dismal state right now. Okay, so what's the difference between living on a budget and being frugal? If your budget doesn't include any money for extra things and fun, then that's being frugal, right? Living on a budget, maybe your budget includes some money for fun and entertainment, right? So you could be living on a budget, but save some money every month, $200 for movies and whatever, right? Restaurants. Okay, so now you have a budget, but you're spending some money on fun things, right? But if you're frugal, maybe you say, well, I don't want to go out at all. Okay, maybe. Okay. So you're in Jordan. Okay, I thought you were in Palestine. But either way, put it this way, Waleed, if you're close enough to see or hear a war, then you are there, right? If you're close enough that you hear about it in the news every day, come on, man, it's not the same thing. Okay? But more importantly, economics becomes much, much more difficult to do if you compare countries that have completely different economic backgrounds, right? So, it's not usually a good comparison to compare any one country to another country. It's impossible to do. It's why you should compare that country to the way it was previously itself. That's really the only fair thing to do. Now, using other countries as a model or like a sense of, I like the way they do that. That looks interesting, right? Like, we should look at that, right? That's one thing, right? But, yeah. Anyway, I can't think today. $400 just for a textbook. Yeah, man. Yeah. Okay, let me see. If you take the ambulance in the United States, if you're sick and you call the ambulance and say, I need an ambulance to take me to the hospital, that might cost you up to $1,500 before insurance. So it says the national average is about $1,481. So about $1,500 if you call the ambulance. So sometimes in America, when we are sick, we don't call the ambulance, we call Uber. I'm not joking. Yeah, look it up. Look it up. I am not exaggerating at all. Sometimes we do not call the ambulance. I will not call an ambulance because I know they will charge money. You'll get a bill. Like a month later, you'll get a bill for $800 because you used the ambulance. Yeah. Let's see. College. In the United States, 1 year at a university is about $12,000 if you live in that state. $12,000 a year. If you're from another state, it's about $32,000 a year. If you go to a private university, it's about $45,000 a year. And if you include housing and expenses for living, it's about $65,000 a year. $65,000 a year. College textbooks. Let's see. Students now report averaging about $338 per year for required course materials, down from $700. Okay, so it has gotten better. Textbooks have gotten better. Why? Because of digital copies, right? So they always used to have to print them, but now they don't. They use digital copies, like on a on an iPad or something, right? So it used to be that you would spend about $700 to $1,000 for your textbooks for college. But that's down now to about $350 per year. Child care. If you have to work and you have to put your child in daycare, in America, that's about $1,200 a month, or $13,000 or $14,000 a year. If you want to go to the dentist, dentists can be very expensive in America, and a lot of that is not covered by any insurance. If you go to a university and you pay $12,000 a year, let's say you go to a university and you pay $12,000 a year, that is only for the tuition. If you live on the university campus, then you still have to pay another $13,000 a year. So, double. Double. Right? And you should see the cost of giving birth in America. The bills when you give when you have a baby in America, sometimes you end up getting these huge bills. It's very expensive. I think what's the average? I want to say it's like $7,000, $8,000, the average price for a delivery for a baby. You know, and then again, you have to remember that we also have a culture of tipping, right? So if you go to the restaurant and you pay $15 or $20 for your food, then you're also supposed to pay another 10, 15, or 20% more for a tip. And that's not like a suggestion. That's you have to. You cannot just say no. You have to give something. Why? I'll tell you why. Because the people who are working there, the servers, a waiter, in America, sometimes the waiters are paid really, 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 really low. Okay, like $2 an hour. Okay, something like that. Why are they paid so low? Because they make their money from tips. So if you have a table of 5 people and they spend $200, then you get 20% of $200, you know, and that can add up if you're good. And if you're really good, then sometimes the rich people give big tips, right? So you can make a lot of money if you're good and you work at a rich restaurant. But it is unfair for them. Yes, it's very unfair. And we have been saying that for quite a while. For at least 10 years, 20 years, we've been talking about how the tip system in America is stupid and it needs to end, but they won't do it because they say that if they do that, there will be no more restaurants. But that's not true, because some restaurants have changed. There are some restaurants that do not do tipping, and they'll tell you that. They tell you in the front. They say no tipping. We pay our waiters a good salary, so you don't have to tip them. Valeri says, my son paid $250,000 for his studies at dental school over the course of 2.5 years. Valeri, I have a friend who went to graduate school in Southern California, and he had 2 years of graduate school. 2 years, right? And it was $250,000 for 2 years. But he had to get loans for that. Right? He had to get loans for that in order to get the money from, to pay for it. He had to go to the bank to get loans, right? So he ended up paying $450,000 for his $250,000 master's degree. Student loans, yeah. Yeah, really. Yeah. So, what you have to remember is that when you look at an American salary, if you see how much money we make here, whatever job it is, and then you convert that to your money, whatever money in your country, you see that number and you think, wow, that's a huge number, so it must be fine. But the fact of the matter is that it's not enough for most people to feel comfortable here. Okay? Anyway. Today's weird. What happened to today? Today went off the rails. I don't know how we ended up talking about the poverty of America today, but we started talking about savory and sweet, and somehow we ended up here. What's the charge for getting a fire truck? That's a good question. There is no charge for getting a fire truck, but there are some people who have talked about wanting to make one. There are some conservative Republicans who have talked about saying, yeah, we should just make this all private. Because some people think that everything should be a money-making situation. Anyway. I don't know how much a janitor can earn in the U.S. You should look that up, Jay. It's different from state to state, I think. You've heard that some Americans fly to East Asia to get medical care. Yeah, it's true. You can fly to another country, like Thailand or, Korea. They go to Korea for plastic surgery a lot, right? You can fly there, have your surgery, stay in a luxury hotel, in Thailand or whatever, for a month, and fly back, and that will be cheaper than going to the doctor here. Not for everything, but for many things. There are plenty of things where that's what people do. Yeah, they'll say, yeah, I'm just going to go on a vacation. I'm just going to go on a vacation and get my my tummy tucked or whatever. Yeah. Again, just look it up. There are lots of articles that will tell you about that. It's called medical tourism. Medical tourism. Thailand is a pretty big one for it. Korea is sometimes big for it. Japan, I think, maybe. Anyway. Turkey is also very big for it, I've heard. A lot of people from Europe and from England will go to Turkey to get surgery, like hair replacement surgery or tummy tucks or things like that, because it's really, 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 really cheap in Turkey. But many times they have problems with the quality, or something happens and something goes wrong, and then you're in trouble. So. Jay, I'm sorry about that, man. Let me try to help you make it feel better about it. Let me put it to you this way, Jay. If you live in India and you come to America, your chances of feeling good are pretty good. And I'll tell you why. Because, and I don't want to talk, this is not everybody in India, okay? I'm just talking about if you're in India and you're struggling and it's very poor for you, right? Then, if you come to America, you might think everything is great here. Because it's just a difference of how you're going, where you're going from. The struggle in India is much harder, right? The struggle there is much harder. So, for example, let me try to make this example for you. My city is Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's a small city, and the music scene, the music business here in my city is not very big and not very popular. So if you live in my city as a musician, you really, really have to work hard, because it's hard to live here as a musician. There are not as many jobs and not as much work, and it doesn't pay as much, right? So, if I move to New York City has a lot of music and so many opportunities, right? But because I struggled so much in my city, and it was so hard for me, and I had to learn how to work so much, when I go to New York, I'll be fine. Because I have already struggled so much that it's okay for me to struggle in New York. Do you understand? So I'm trying to say that if you're from India and you've been struggling in India, and if you have an opportunity to come to America, maybe you'll be fine because you've struggled at a much more difficult level. So if you can come here, it will feel like, oh, well, this is better. I can do better here. Okay, so the American dream does still exist for some people. Okay, but it's complicated to discuss the levels of the American dream for how it affects everyone, right? And the truth is that the concept of the American dream has always been mostly, it's a hope that they've given to the poor about how they can have a better life, right? The American dream. So it's always talking about how if you're poor and you come here, you'll probably be okay because you've struggled. You already know how to struggle. So if you come here, you'll have good opportunities. That's what lots of people still feel that way. Okay? But if you're from Germany, you're probably better off staying in Germany. All right? That's kind of what I'm saying. All right? If you understand my point, I hope I'm not being, I'm doing my best to be culturally sensitive. Which one is correct? Take the pot out or take the pot from the fridge? Take the pot out is most common. Take the pot out of the fridge, right? But I could say take the pot from the fridge and put it on the table. That would be fine too. Okay? What's the highest paying job in the USA? I don't know. Ask Elon. That's the highest paying job in the US. Elon Musk. Sure. Yeah, there are affordable medical options worldwide. That's true. Yeah. I still do think we do have the best hospitals and the best doctors. I do think we have the best medical infrastructure. That's the word I was looking for. I still think we have the best infrastructure. We just have the worst system. So we have the best equipment, the best doctors, best training, all of that. Number one. But then you go to use it, and the system that we have chosen to implement to use it is the worst in the world. And I will say that very easily. There is no country that's a major country that has a system of medical care that's worse than ours. It's the biggest embarrassment of America, in my opinion, is our medical care. Our lack of medical care. You should be able to just walk into the doctor and get what you need and not have to not think about or hear about anything about the payment at all. You should be able to go see the doctor and not hear anything about $1 or how much it costs. That should never come into the equation. Anybody who does that should be kicked squarely between the legs. Okay, let's see. Yeah, like Susu said, some of our doctors have more experience because they have huge population to diagnose and learn from. So, for example, if you're a nurse from China or from Vietnam, for example, there are many nurses that come from Vietnam and they come to the United States. Why? Because the United States needs more nurses. We don't have enough nurses. So that's a job that pays Very well. It's a difficult job, though. It's a very difficult job. But if you were a nurse or a doctor in China, then probably it was harder for you. So if you come to America and work in one of our hospitals, I'm not going to say it will be easy. No, it's not easy. It's always a hard job, but it's probably going to be less stressful than where you came from, because we have more rules about how many hours you can work and things like that, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, there are certain people from certain places with certain skills that they still have a big advantage and they could come here and do really well. For an engineer, what kind of an engineer? There are a million kinds of engineers. What kind of an engineer? Is that electrical? I don't know what EEE means. Okay. Probably, I would say yes. Probably that's a good job that you could come here and do. I don't know. You have to look it up and see what the statistics are. But just ask ChatGPT and say, is there a demand for electrical engineers in the United States? Okay, but remember, it's kind of tricky, because if you want to work in the United States, if you want to work in any foreign country, usually you have to show them that you have some kind of an ability or skill or talent that they cannot find locally. Zishan, right? So you have to be able to show them that you have some skill or knowledge. Maybe you're from Bangladesh. Maybe you live in an area where they have a lot of floods, and so you have a lot of knowledge about flood building and how to build in flood areas and flood zones, right? You know about all of that, right? So if you have that skill, and maybe America has a lot of floods recently, right? We have a lot of floods, and the weather's getting crazy here now. So now maybe there's a company that will say, oh, well, this guy in Bangladesh, he knows about this stuff because they've been dealing with that for many, many years. So we should hire him. He has special knowledge, right? He has special knowledge. It's called special knowledge, special talent, special abilities. You have to show that you can do something that the local person can't do. Okay? Yeah. And yes, electricians and welders, that's not an electrical engineer, but anything with electricity, yeah, that's probably, you're going to find a job. Electrical engineer or even an electrician. You know, that's one of the most, in the near future, for the next 20 years or 25 years, the best jobs you can do are the jobs where you're fixing equipment, like an air conditioner repairman, a refrigerator repairman, electrical engineer or electrician, a plumber. These are jobs those jobs will be very, very in demand still. All right. Engineers have many opportunities. Well, I would say software engineers, some of the stuff with computers, I think those jobs, that's going to be coming to an end sooner. Because the more AI continues to grow, the more it's going to continue to do those jobs first. The first things that it can do well are things like coding and designing of engineering software, right? So it's already being used for that. now. And I think all software engineers know this now. And most of the software engineers are learning AI because they know that AI is going to kind of take their jobs. So they want to learn it so that they can use it so that they're not replaced. Right. Okay. Still, I wanted to talk to people today, but when I want to talk, nobody wants to talk to me. But I get that. I get that. Am I a musician? Yes, I am. I am an English teacher, but I am also a drummer. You can see all the drums behind me. Sashi is raising his hand.
Hello there.
Hello, Sachi.
How are you, bro?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah,
Hello.
I'm good. I'm good. He's sir. He's a musician and a teacher of English. You want to talk to him? He's my friend. Just say hello to him.
I'm sorry, but
Hello?
I'm not allowed to talk to children on the camera. I can only talk to adults on the camera. Those are the rules of Hello Talk. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
That's okay.
All right, sir.
That's okay. So, where are you in India, Sachi?
I'm from Mumbai. You're not allowed, beta. Just wait there.
Okay. And, Sachi, do you have any questions for me or something you want to ask me about today?
What should I ask you? Are you an English teacher?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I want to ask you how to read American English literature exclusively. I want to read the best writers and best authors so that I can be well acquainted with the American literature.
Okay, so American literature. Knowing American language, the language that's used, is different than knowing the literature. Because the literature is often very old, right? So, for example, Mark Twain. Mark Twain is American literature, right? He's an author. He wrote Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. That's American literature, and it's very important American literature. But that language is old language, very old language. So if you read it, it will be difficult to understand because the language is very old and not common now, right? And also, it's going to be hard for you to understand the context of how to use that language now. Can I still use these words now or not? Right? So, Gone with the Wind is another book that's a very famous book in American literature. But the language in that book is very, very old. Same with The Great Gatsby. Again, very famous book. It's American literature. So when you study literature, you're not looking really at the language. You're trying to learn about the culture and about the lessons that were taught. Because that's what the books are there for. Books are there to tell a story for a purpose. Every story is a vehicle. It's taking you somewhere, and it's trying to show you something. So, when you read a book, you're driving, and you're seeing what that book wants you to see. And that is going to teach you something. It's trying to take you to a place so that you can learn something, right? So what I would say is, how should you learn American literature if you're not from America? That's a good question. I think that this is another one that I think is a good idea for AI. You can ask AI, you can say, I am from India, but I want to read The Great Gatsby. Can you help me understand the cultural ideas and the cultural lessons in this book as an Indian man? Right? You have to just tell it, I'm reading a book that's not from my culture. Can you help me understand that culture? Right? And it's the same thing that I would do if I were reading a book from India. I would want to read the book, but then I need to study some of the history and some of the culture so that I can understand what's happening in the book. Because if I read a book from an Indian author, but I don't know anything about Indian culture, I'm not going to understand,
Yeah.
right? You know, I'm not going to understand at all.
So, Mark, what do you think are the problems that when you read a book from the other culture, and that stands as a great obstacle?
Well, I don't think there are too many obstacles because American literature, those are classics. Those are classics. So because they are classics, they have been talked about and analyzed and reviewed hundreds and thousands of times for many, many years by many, many, many people. So if you don't understand something, there are many, many sources that you can read to help you understand what it means now, right? If it's a new book and there's no writings about that book, then yeah, it's very hard to understand what it means because you don't know that culture. But if it's a classic, then it's been written about a lot already. And you just have to read what people have said about it. Okay? So, as a foreign person, if you're studying American English as a foreign person, I think you need a helper. You need a guide. So that guide can be AI. You just have to tell it. You have to say, I'm reading this book that's an American classic book, but I'm from India. Please help me understand any of the cultural or regional aspects of the language that I won't know or that I don't understand. Please help me understand as an outsider. That's all you have to do. You have to say, I'm not from here. Please help me understand. Okay?
Okay. Yes. Maybe there are some values and some festivals and some traditions we are not
Right.
very
Right.
acquainted with them.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You know, like it's a perfect example. Here's a funny example. The Indian holiday of Diwali.
Diwali. Yes.
Yeah. Most Americans did not know about Diwali at all. We did not know about Diwali, nothing. We didn't know what it was, how you celebrate, nothing. But it became part of our culture in a very funny way. Do you know who Adam Sandler is?
No.
He's a famous American movie star. He's a comedian. He's a funny guy, right? And he was on TV one time, and he wrote a song about Diwali. And it was a funny song that told people about Diwali. And it was a holiday that we didn't know about, but he's singing about it. So it was funny because we don't know what he's talking about, and it's new, but we learned about it, right? And then a few years later, there's a famous TV show called The Office. A very, very famous TV show called The Office. And in that TV show, they have an Indian woman. She's working there, an Indian American woman, right? And they celebrate Diwali on the show. So Americans saw that culture. It became part. So what I'm saying is we had to learn about your culture, right? We had to learn about it. We didn't know about it before. But then somebody talked about it, and now we know about it, right? So it becomes part of our culture now, too, right? That's the funny thing about American culture is a mix of all the cultures, right? So, I eat Indian food pretty regularly. I love Indian food, right? So if I feel like Indian food, then I go get some chicken tikka saag and some naan, and I eat Indian food, So what I would say is studying the writing of any culture, you just have to remember that you need to understand the history and the cultural things that go with that. You can't read the literature and not understand those things. You have to learn them together. But that's why you should read them. That's why you should read
The
them.
context.
Yeah, that's right.
We should know the context.
That's right. And that's the way we learn them in school, right? So if I'm in school, in class, and they teach me about The Great Gatsby, that's what they're saying. Why are we reading this? What's the point? Why do we have to read this book? What are the regional things? What are the cultural things? What lessons are we learning? And, what's the point of reading this book at all, right? So, yeah.
So, Mark, what's your understanding of Diwali? Like, what did you come to know about Diwali celebration? What's your idea about this festival?
I don't know a lot about Diwali. I do remember, well, there's, just like most celebrations, there is a lot of food, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the one thing that they had in the TV show, that they were showing like the Indian food. And of course, like that's always a part of any holiday. Holidays usually have food, like there's some food involved in a holiday. But I remember that it's something about lights in Sanskrit. Doesn't it mean something about lights? If I remember right, I think the word Diwali, it means something about lights in Sanskrit. And so it's like there was like a victory of one god over another god. Something like that, right? Was I right? Okay. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, that's the victory of good over the bad, like the virtue over the evil. And it's a legend about Lord Rama has got victory over Ravana, and it's something, it's a festival of diyas, like lights, that you need to have light in your life, and let's get away from darkness. And it's all about the enlightenment of spiritualism and our own life.
Oh, well, see, that's great. See, and that's why I'm saying that's one thing I like about being an American, is because we share cultures. So like this is a leprechaun, right? And a leprechaun is part of Irish culture. It's an Irish thing. But this became part of American culture. And we have a holiday that we celebrate, St. Patrick's Day. And when we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, it's a holiday for anybody. Nobody cares where you're from. What we say is everybody is Irish on St. Patrick's Day. That's what we say. So that's kind of how it is here, is that if I want to go to a Diwali celebration in America, I can. There are many, and I could go to one, and they would welcome me.
Okay.
Yeah,
and there are some subtle happenings in that period. Is about bathing, the way you bath, even the food. The farar is all kind of sweet, and it's like heavy kind of food is eaten. It also has a reason. Like that's exactly the time when you start taking heavy meal, like fried items, then sweet, and a lot of things which are there, like they are high in calorie.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like, there's a lot of foods, there are a lot of sweets, there are a lot of things to eat that I remember that, So, yeah, okay, that's great.
Yes.
Sachi, I need to let you go because I want to talk to a couple other people, but it was nice to talk to you, and thank you for coming on my stage.
It was great, really, Mark. I mean, I saw you several times, and that was one of my wishes, like to talk to you, and it was really great to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you, too. Take care, my friend. I'll see you next time,
Thank
okay?
you so much, Mark.
Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, guys, if you want to come on stage, you must be patient. I only put one person on stage at the same time. I don't like to have more than one person on stage. It's too hard to have a good conversation that way, in my opinion. So I only have one person on stage at the same time. But also, you should consider this like dating, okay? If you want to talk to me on stage, treat this like a relationship. If you don't know who I am, then you shouldn't ask to come on my stage, because you don't know who I am. Just like if I don't know who you are, I shouldn't ask you out on a date. I don't know you yet. If I get to know you first, then I can ask you out on a date, maybe, because now I know you, right? But if I don't know you, I shouldn't ask you out on a date. So if you come on my stage, it's like you're coming on a date with me. So that means that you have to be patient and you can't be too needy. Okay? Me, talk to me. I want to talk right now. Me. Be patient. Okay? Let's talk to Hazelnut. I like that name. From the Philippines. And I do know that some people have a time limit. I'm aware. I know you have a time limit. I'm sorry you have a time limit, but that's not my problem. I cannot do that. I cannot always think about your time limit in order for me to do my show. I can't worry about your time limit for me, okay? Hello, Hazelnut. How are you?
Hi, Mark. How are you? I'm good.
Good. And you're
I'm
in the
good,
Philippines.
yeah.
You're in the Philippines where? Are you in Manila or?
I'm from Davao.
Oh, okay. All right. Wonderful.
Yeah, but I'm currently in Thailand. I'm working in
Oh,
Thailand.
okay, cool. In where? In Bangkok or where? Chiang Mai?
No, in Nonthaburi. It's like just few minutes from Bangkok.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. And so what can I do for you today? Do you have a question for me or something I can help you with?
I don't really have a question, but you said that you want to talk with people here, but does it but like, do you want me to ask question, or is it like a casual conversation?
Well, so here's what I usually do, Hazelnut. Have you seen me
Yeah.
before?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So I'm a teacher, right? So what I usually tell people is you should think about it like this. Like, usually you have to pay for a teacher, right? But you don't have to pay for me right now. So if you have an opportunity to talk to a teacher and ask a teacher anything you want to, what would you ask? That's what we do. Right? So we can have a conversation. We can do that. But part of the reason why I don't just do conversations is because I am a teacher and I have about 90,000 followers here. So
Okay.
so I'm always trying to keep everything feeling like it's useful for everyone, right? And if I just have
Yeah.
a little conversation, sometimes it's not always useful for everyone. But sometimes it is. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's good for them to hear just two people talking. And by the way, your English is quite good. So many people from the Philippines have great English. I have been to the Philippines, and I love
Yeah.
Filipino food.
Yeah, but talking about like English, like I just want to share that like I've been doing shadowing almost every night. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
who do you shadow?
I think, her name is Keenan Rhodes.
Okay, and
So she's like,
why do you shadow her?
because I like her voice. Like she sounds really calm and relax, and she sounds like a mother. You know.
very
And she
good.
sounds classic for me. Yeah.
Very
yeah.
good. And what about her pronunciation and her vocabulary and her grammar? Are all those things pretty good?
Yeah. Yeah, like she's actually like a pathologist, something like that. Like
okay.
she's teaching American accent, like
Okay,
North
great.
American accent. Yeah,
Then
yeah.
that's great. Okay, now, see, I talk about this all the time, shadowing. And people always ask about shadowing because they don't really understand what shadowing is. And that's why I was asking you, because I wanted to see what you think shadowing is. Some people, they just choose anybody. They say, oh, he's an American, he speaks English,
Yeah.
I'm going to watch him and listen. But guess what?
Yeah.
Just because you speak English doesn't mean you speak well. So I always tell people that the first thing you should do when you're trying to shadow somebody is choose someone good. Think about, this is a person that when they speak, I want to listen to them. I want to hear more. There's something about their voice makes me want to listen more, right? That's somebody good. This is the way we are when we're musicians. I'm a drummer, right? And sometimes maybe I go to a music store and I hear some drummer playing and he's so good that I have to go over there and I have to watch him and listen more because he's so good. And then I have to watch and say, why? Why is he better than me? What is he doing that I'm not doing? That's shadowing, right? You have to watch somebody who's really good and then think about, why are they better than me? What am I not doing that they're doing, right? So that's great. That sounds great that you're doing good shadowing work.
So what I do is I only follow one person.
Good.
And I don't like, because I heard from people that they shadow from TED Talks, from different people. But I do believe that you should shadow only one person to have, your own style, right?
Well,
and
I think you're almost right. I think you're close to right.
Yeah.
I think that it's better to think about it like a musician, because musicians, we think about, like, I'm going to study this guy for a long time because he's so good. But then after I've studied him for a while, then I also like this guy here because he's also really good, but different. He has a different voice. Something's different about him, right? So yes, you want to kind of focus on one so that you can learn what it is about them. If you do too many, sometimes it can be a little hard to know. But on the other hand, you also need to remember that language is like music. And there are so many kinds of music. So, do you know how to listen to rock music? Do you know how to listen to jazz music? Do you know how to listen to Latin music? They're different, right? And the same thing is true with when you go to TED Talks. That's the advantage of TED Talks. TED Talks will allow you to say, oh, well, I'm going to listen to somebody who talks about this kind of thing, and I'm going to listen to somebody who talks about that kind of thing. But the reason why TED Talks are always good is because TED Talks, they don't choose anybody who's not a good public speaker. You have to be a good public speaker to be a TED Talker. I'm sure there are many people who have great ideas, but they don't speak very well about them, so they don't get a TED Talk. So you're right, though. Most musicians, that's what we do. We say, I'm going to study rock music. Okay, and then I'm going to study this drummer from this band, and I'm going to really focus on him for like a year or two and really learn his style. But after I study his style, then I have to find somebody else who's also really good and then learn their style, right? It's kind of like, also it's like martial arts, like karate, right? Same thing. You learn from one teacher to learn his style of fighting, then you go to another teacher to learn their style of fighting, right? So you're on the right track. You're focused on one person who's really good right now. And eventually you will feel like, I think I've learned enough from this person right now. And then that's when you're ready to either take a break. Sometimes you need to take a break for a little while and not have a teacher. Just absorb. That's the time when you need to let all that information you are studying, let's let that live for a little while. Before we add more, let's live and play with this stuff that I was learning for a while. Or, like I said, you could also choose to find another teacher and say, let me study with them.
Yeah. But I think for now, because I believe that you have different accents in the USA, right?
Sure.
So I just wanna follow like one accent for now, like the general standard American accent, because
Yeah.
I might get confused,
That's true.
like, oh, like, yeah, I'm following Texas accent, and the next day, like Western, what's that, like South American accent. So my muscle might be confused if I shadow multiple people.
And you just said the most important words is you said your mouth muscles might be confused.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what an accent is. Pronunciation and accent are muscle movements. They're mouth muscle movements. So when you learn a language, you have to learn the vocabulary and you have to learn the grammar, right? But you also have to learn the mouth positions, the movements of the mouth that are different, right? So sometimes people in China have trouble with English. Why? Because there's no TH in Chinese.
Oh.
So they have to learn how to make that. They don't do that. So many Chinese people, they have trouble with the TH sound because it's a completely new mouth movement that they've never done before. And it takes a while. So this is why I have an advantage, because I'm a drummer.
Yeah.
Everything drummers do is about muscle movement, muscle memory, right? We practice a movement again and again and again until our brain has memorized it. So there are some things that I practiced when I was 16 years old that I have not played since then. But I could go back on my drums and play them right now, and they'll come right back to me because I did it enough. I got that stuck in my body, in my brain, like riding a bike, right? That's why they say it's like riding a bike. You just get back on, you'll be fine, right? I haven't ridden a bike in 10 years, but it's like riding a bike. You'll get on and you'll remember. It'll be okay, right? So, but mouth muscle movements are the important thing, and that's what diction is. Diction means speaking very clearly. That means that you have to exaggerate your mouth movements. So what I teach here, Hazelnut, is I want people to speak like a stage actor. Okay? Not like a movie actor, not like a TV or movie actor. I mean like a stage actor, like Shakespeare, okay? And what I tell people is, if your grandma is coming to see you perform, and you're going to do Shakespeare on stage, right? And they don't have any microphones for a play. There's no microphones in a play. You just have to speak clearly so people can hear you, right? So if I go on stage and, and I say, to be or not to be, that is the question. Grandma's not going to hear that. Grandma's not going to hear that. But if I say, to be or not to be, that is the question. All of my words were big and open, and I projected my voice out to the crowd, right? So this is what I teach my students to do, is to pretend like they are on a stage. And this is the way the Greeks were. The Greeks also were this way. The Greeks studied public speaking. It's called oration, oratory, to speak publicly. It was something that they thought was really, really important, the Greeks, okay? And one of the things that they thought was important was speaking clearly, because when you had to give a performance 2,000 years ago, there are no microphones, right? So again, you're outside. And there are no walls. So when you're outside, there's no walls. You really have to speak loudly because your voice just dies. There's no walls to reverberate, right? So, and then the Greeks also, they wore masks when they were performing. They had masks on their faces for each of the characters they were playing, right? So if they were playing the character of Zeus, they would wear the Zeus mask, right? But when you have a mask on, now your voice is going to be muffled because something is in front of your face, right? So they had to speak even more clearly for their audience, right? So the idea of opening your mouth projecting your voice and speaking clearly, those things go back to the Greeks, where the Greeks were teaching you that if you speak well, if you have great words, that's great. But if you don't speak clearly, no one will hear them. Right?
Yeah.
So they were speaking about you had to learn how to use great philosophy and wisdom, but then you also must learn how you can say those words in public in a way that everyone will hear and listen and understand and want to hear more. That was the art of oratory, oration. Rhetoric. It's also called rhetoric. Rhetoric is the art of talking.
Yeah. But I just have like a question because I heard it from someone before. As an English teacher, like what do you think is more important, pronunciation or grammar?
So probably pronunciation. Okay, but what I'll tell you is I teach that there are 8 parts of language, right? So when you learn a language, you have to think about 8 different areas. And 3 of them are passive and 5 of them are active, right? So for example, the 5 active parts are reading, writing, listening, speaking, and thinking. Okay, those are the active ways to use language, right? But then what is language? Those are the passive things: vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, right? So those are the 3 passive parts of language. You have to learn some grammar, you have to learn some vocabulary, and you have to learn some pronunciation so that you can use them when you're reading, writing, listening, speaking, and thinking, right? So which one is more important, grammar or pronunciation or vocabulary? I think vocabulary is the most important one because that's usually how we start. Babies start with just words, right? Like a sound that becomes a word, right? And they don't know grammar, right? There is no grammar. Babies don't know grammar, right? So in the beginning, it's a fight between pronunciation and vocabulary because pronunciation is vocabulary, right? If you don't pronounce it right, then it is not that word, right? So those 2 things kind of go together, right? Pronunciation and vocabulary. Yeah.
I like vocabulary.
Yeah, me too. Vocabulary is my favorite way to start any language. And I think that's the way you should start any language. You should just start with some words. Just start with hello, goodbye, yes, no, thank you, please. Just start with some words. That's how you start a language.
Yeah. I talked with someone here before. I think she's from China. And like she was very worried with her accent. She was very worried with her accent, and she said like, "Oh, I think because I don't understand other people here when they're talking." That's what she said, and I do believe that like accent is more important than pronunciation. And for me, pronunciation is really important because, let's say, I remember my mom when I was in the Philippines, right? And she said something like "tank," and I was looking at my brother like, "Okay, what is she trying to say?" And I was like smirking, you know, and she got mad with me and my brother because like we were kind of laughing like, okay, what is she trying to say? She is trying to say pink, but she said dang. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, I was like, yeah.
So, here's what I tell people about pronunciation, because a lot of people ask me about accent. You know, and they want to have an American accent. Is that important? You know, I want an American accent. I want to sound like you, Teacher Mark. But what I tell them is that you do not have to sound like me. And as a matter of fact, no one cares about your accent. Not really. No one cares, okay? Even the most ignorant person here will not care what accent you have if your accent is clear. That's the only thing. There is such a thing as a clear accent, and there's also such a thing as a very unclear accent. right? So here's what I tell people. Accents are like these. Crayons. Okay? And I love crayons, and when you buy a box of crayons, you want all the colors because everybody wants all these wonderful colors to draw with, right? That's like accents. The world has a bunch of wonderful colors in it, right? And I don't want to lose those colors. But if I use a crayon, and let's say I want to write my name with this crayon, but it's not sharp, it's very dull. Can I write my name clearly with that crayon?
Sorry.
If my crayon is not sharp, can I write my name clearly?
No.
No, you can't. So now you have a choice. Should you change crayons, or should you sharpen the crayon?
Yeah.
So what I tell people is, you don't need to change your accent. You just need to sharpen it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think that it's really true because, like, do I still have time here?
Sure. I can't see your time limit, but they might have a time limit, so you have to follow that.
Yeah, but okay. So I had an experience here, right? I'm a teacher, but I don't teach English. Okay, I teach math. So I'm also a homeroom teacher. So last two years ago, I've been teaching same group of students for 2 years straight. Okay. And there's one parent who was complaining about me. Like, she went to my head teacher and she said, like, oh, this year, why is it Miss Hazel again? Like, you know, like my child now sounds like Filipino. She talks like Filipino now, and she was like blaming it to me that because I'm her homeroom teacher, so she's complaining about my Filipino accent, and I was really, you know, like I feel really down. Like, okay, like I speak clearly. I ask my students, guys, do you understand me when I teach you? And all of them say, yes, we understand you. So this is like, I have to talk with my head teacher, and my head teacher told me like, oh, she's just being racist. I mean, like, most of times people are nice, but there are a few of them that are racist.
Of course there are. Yeah, there are. You're going to run into that. And I've seen that plenty, right? I taught English in Taiwan for 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I saw plenty of things like that too, you know. It was funny. There was one school I worked at where there was a guy who was an American. He was from, I think he was from Michigan. And he's an American. And he's an English teacher. He studied English in college, got a degree for English in college, and that's he's lived here his whole life. He's studied English his whole life, and he's an American. But his family was from Taiwan, and they moved to America, so he grew up in America, right? So he has a perfect American accent, and he knows more about English than I do, a lot more, and he has many more credentials than I do. But the parents didn't want him. They wanted me.
Oh.
Why? Because I'm white.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's it. That's the only reason why. And even I told them, I said, no, you should hire that guy. He's much better than I am. What's wrong with you? And I even told them, I said, it doesn't make any sense because look, if the teacher looks like your kid and speaks really well, then your kid will think, oh, wait, he looks like me and he can speak really well, so maybe I can do that too. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you would think it would be a great lesson, like a great example for them. But they often just think, no, I want the native speaker. I want the white guy. You know? Yeah. It's sad.
It's the same. Because, like, my coworkers are from England. And I have a coworker from South Africa, but he's white, okay? And two from England, one from Wales, and the other guy is Singaporean. He's Asian as well, but he's Singaporean, you know? Like, so I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
the lowest, like because I'm Filipino.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
There's. Yeah. I know the
Yeah.
ranking. I know the ranking order of Asians. Yeah. I'm aware. Yeah. I've learned about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a funny thing. You know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I would tell you is you should always tell your students that great words have no country. Right. So. You know, Gandhi was from India. But do I care that he was from India when I learn his words? No. I just know that he said some great things, right? And Freud is from Austria, I think. Do I care that he's from Austria? No. I just care that he said some things, right? And are they smart things, right? So great words have no country. Great words have no culture, and great words, the accent doesn't matter. It's the content that matters, not the accent, right? But for people like that, you're never going to be able to convince them. They have a bias.
Close-minded.
Yeah, she has a bias already, and you just can't do anything about that. So, but your accent is nothing. Okay, you have a Filipino accent, but it's so small.
Yeah.
It's not even anything to worry about.
Because I've been practicing every day. Because
Okay, good.
I started last year, but like I'm just motivated for 1 week, and then after that I go back to myself. But now my strategy is I always tell myself, okay, Hazel, you have to practice now, or if you're not consistent, you will regret this in the future. So that's what I tell about myself. Like, please, like, practice, because if you don't practice, you will regret this. You
So
know.
I'm going to help.
So I think, yeah, I think that strategy is kind of effective for me. Like I'm threatening myself.
No, that's good.
Just to
Yeah,
practice.
you have to. So I'm going to help you a little bit. I want you to make something for me. I want you to get a piece of paper. And on the top of that paper, I want you to write 10 words. I want you to think about 10 words in English that are difficult for you to say, right? Think about any sound. Like, why can't I say this sound the way Teacher Mark does? Why can't I say this sound? Is it the R? Is it the V? Is it the L? Is it the TH? What is it? Then write those words across the top, right? So now you have one piece of paper with 10 words across the top, and each of those words has some sound that's different or difficult for you, right? Now I want you to look at that word and say, okay, what sound is in this word that's hard for me? Okay, so let's say it's the L, right? Let's say it's the L at the beginning, right? So I need to make a list now of a bunch of words that have L at the beginning and write them underneath, right? So when you're finished, you'll have 10 columns of words that are difficult for you to say well. And you can carry that with you in your pocket and practice it anytime, every day. I call that my target accent improvement list. Tail. Okay, so that's a good way to work on your accent, especially for somebody like you, because your accent is already really, really good. So you're just polishing. You're just polishing it. You're trying to get the really fine points of pronunciation, right? So for somebody like you, this technique is a good way. Okay? So I would work on that. Yeah. And then the only other thing I would say is also tongue twisters. If you haven't practiced tongue twisters, practice tongue twisters, because those are another thing that actors do. Actors and broadcasters, anybody who's in the news, right? Before the cameras turn on, they're saying, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. She sells seashells down by the seashore. She sells seashells down by the seashore. They do these as mouth warm-ups, right? They're trying to get their mouths like moving so that they're ready to speak very clearly. They need to speak perfectly for 30 minutes for the news, right? So for the first 10 minutes before they go on, they practice these. They practice lots of these, like, sometimes they're exercises for singers. singers use these, they'll sing like me, my, what is it? Me, may, my, mo, moo, 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 me, may, whatever, right? And then they practice just lip movements, right? Red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. They do these things again and again and again, right? So that would be another good way for you to work on the fine points of pronunciation. Okay?
Okay. Thanks for that wonderful, advice.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank
And again,
you.
you sound like you're doing great, and you sound like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even tell you to fix anything unless you told me you wanted to. Right? So right now, your accent is already 100% clear. Okay? So if you come to America tomorrow, no one will have trouble understanding anything you say. Okay?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
So I really mean that. Like, if anybody had trouble understanding you, I wouldn't look at you like you have the problem. I would look at them like they have the problem. I would say, like, what's wrong with you, man? She's speaking perfectly clearly. What is wrong with you? Are you deaf? So I want you to just understand that your accent is really, really good. You have a Filipino accent, but it's just so slight. And it's honestly, I think it's cute. So don't lose it. Just keep it. Just you need to learn how to have the control so that if you want to get rid of it totally, you can, but you don't have to, right? That's what you need to learn, that control, almost like a singer. Singers do this, right? So if you didn't know this, if you're from England and you sing, like what's her name? What's the girl from England? Adele. When Adele sings, she sings with more of an American accent. Many British singers, when they speak with a British accent. But when they sing with an American accent because they like the clarity of the tone more. Not all of them, but many of them, right? But then a long time ago, many American actors or singers, they tried to sing with a British accent because they thought it sounded more sophisticated.
Yeah.
So it's funny, yeah. So, okay, Hazel, I need to go, but it was lovely to talk to you, and come back anytime.
Thank you
okay?
so much.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care, bye-bye. Okay, and again, okay, again, if you are begging to come on my stage, I don't really do begging. You can ask, you can say, may I come on stage, but I don't really like begging. Begging is too desperate. Okay? Yeah. So, at this point, though, guys, I have been here for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and my back hurts from sitting down too long. So, I need to go and make some lunch and get some work done. Okay? But who are the English artists that sound American? Let me show you. Do you listen to Led Zeppelin? Have you ever heard Led Zeppelin speak? Robert Plant? Have you ever heard Robert Plant speak? He doesn't sound like what he sings like. Mick Jagger, when he sings, it's a little bit more American. Elton John, American. Let's see. Even David Bowie. David Bowie had a definitely British accent, but I can think of so many songs like China Girl. He's using an American accent in that song almost entirely, So he kind of goes back and forth. He's got some songs that are more British accent and many that are more American. George Michael is another one, yeah. So yeah, it was a matter of clarity. This is a funny thing about history and accents. So, for example, the Mid-Atlantic accent in America is an accent that was kind of created. It was a fake accent that didn't really exist, but it was created during I think it was the 1920s and 30s, maybe a little bit into the 40s, but it was an accent that was created to sound sophisticated. It wasn't a real accent. It was something that sounded kind of British, like a little bit like a Brit, and they changed the vocabulary and they created their own little language or accent with linguistics, and it was designed to sound fancy, like British. That was the point, right? So accents are kind of interesting that way. Okay. I have to go, everybody. Please come back. If you have more questions, please come back next time, okay? When am I here? Let me give you my schedule. Here is my information. If you want to know about me, then you should go here. Everything you need to know about me is in this file. Okay, so please go to this file, copy that link, open that in your browser and read it, and you'll find my YouTube channel, my blog, and my website. You'll find my schedule. You'll find everything you need to know about me. Okay? Do I have advice for you studying grammar or sentence phrases? You're a newbie. Vivi, my advice is don't be a newbie. Come back and see me again. I have been on Hello Talk for more than 12 years. I have been live streaming here for about 5 years. And I have about 91,000 followers, and about 1.2 million people have watched me around the world. Okay, so if you want to study English, if you want to improve your English, come here. Okay, come here. My email address. You can send me a private message if you want that. Send me a private message. Okay, maybe I'll give it to you. Okay? All right. That's it for me. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody over here. Okay, good. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening wherever you live in the world, and come back and see me next time, okay? Bye.